Hi everybody, Terry Ryder in Perth. I'm over here to do a seminar tonight and have a few meetings and catch up with a few people, but primarily it's a seminar tonight for real estate consumers, all of them presumably people who live in and around Perth, which is kind of timely because just as markets in the two biggest cities are showing evidence of winding down, not all of them, but certainly large sections of those Sydney and Melbourne markets certainly well past the peak of their up cycles and are now starting to wind down. But Perth is doing something very different. Perth is moving into a recovery phase, and the evidence of that is growing stronger week by week. Certainly there's a revival in the Western Australian economy, which feeds into the Perth property market very strongly. We're seeing the Western Australian economy back in growth. The population growth figures for the state are the highest they've been any time in the last 5 years. Jobs are being created again, particularly in the resources sector. We're seeing some really big wages growth. Generally across the country, one of the stories economically is that wages aren't growing very much, but certainly in the resources sector over here, there's been massive growth in the last 12 months because a lot of projects are cranking up again, and iron ore projects, gas projects and others, and they're finding it hard to get all the personnel they need, so they've got to pay higher money to attract people to the jobs that are now coming available in the resources sector in Western Australia. Lots of other indicators that things are improving, jobs being created, wages rising, economy growing again, population growing again, getting back to that traditional state that Western Australia has of being one of the population growth leaders in Australia, which it has not been since the end of the resources investment boom, but it's all starting to build some momentum again, and as a result of that we're seeing improvement in the Perth property market. We're seeing a number of indicators. Vacancies have come down a lot. That was one of the problems previously. We're seeing the first evidence of leasing activity picking up and rents starting to nudge upwards again for the first time in several years. Sales activity is definitely picking up. Over the last 18 months, we're seeing a steady quarter by quarter rise in the number of sales in the Perth property market and the number of suburbs that have got rising sales momentum. So that's significant. And there's also the fact that the top end of the market, the $1 million suburbs, have shown some pretty good price growth. Many of them have grown by more than 10% in their median prices in the last 12 months, which is often something that starts at the beginning of a cycle. So we've got all these indicators that Perth is actually moving into recovery, starting to move into a growth phase, even as the two biggest cities are moving in the opposite direction. They've had their booms, they're winding down, and the message that media keeps giving us is that prices are falling across Australia. It simply isn't true, and part of the evidence of that is what we're seeing here in Perth. So going to be talking about that and more in front of a fairly large audience in the centre of Perth tonight, so that's why I'm here. So that's it for now. Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au signing off. I will talk to you again soon.